Hello again, and welcome back for chapter 4 of Ignite Love, the book that I co authored, internationally best-selling co author. And tonight's chapter is by Tara Lehman, and her chapter is entitled Shimmy and Shake and Shoes. Quote for this chapter is unapologetically asking for what you want never goes out of style. The intention for this chapter is do you believe that a real experience is within your reach? That's my acronym for rocking, explosive, and amazing love life. And my story is the intimate journey of what it took for me to claim it. My wish is to reassure you that you can as well. Is a tale of both drama and love that left me no choice but to shine a light on the hidden and not so hidden corners of my life, which unexpectedly brought my love life full circle. My goal is to share how powerful investing in ourselves can be, to ask for help when you need it, and proof that once you get out of your own way, the love that you thought impossible becomes possible. Should be interesting. Opening my hall closet, I saw what to date is one of the best tales in my dating history. One shoe out of every pair I owned was gone. I assumed that my shoes, from the gloriously sparkled high heels to the $5 flip-flops, were shoved into a stinky garbage bin, scooped up by the man I hadn't forgiven for breaking into my bank account. I could envision his rage vindictively stealing my shoes before he fled out of town, drunk as usual, never to be seen again. Feeling more inconvenienced than angry, I considered the fact that it was December and updated my Facebook status to all I want for Christmas is size 10 shoes. My real love life began in a coffee shop in Newfoundland a couple of years earlier. It was a gloriously sunny afternoon in the east coast of Canada, and my mom had been helping me to shop for a new belly dancing coin belt. We found the perfect color to add to my collection. It was bright orange with countless silver coins ready to jingle on the dance floor, and I envisioned it pairing perfectly with my favorite purple dance top. With my purchase complete and my regular coffee shop only 1 block away, we decided to stop in. Immediately, I saw a dance instructor friend sitting at one of the tables. Knowing he'd love my new purchase, I whipped the orange beauty out of its bag, tied it on, and stepped up to his table. I started shimmying my shoulders and shaking my hips. He burst out laughing, and I could see the thought pass through his mind, yep, there's the Tara I know. It was then I noticed he was not alone at the table, and there I was, shaking and shimmying in my orange and silver glory, all before he could even introduce me to the person he was enjoying tea with. Had I noticed the extra person at the table, I wonder if I would have given that silly dance show. Probably not. Let's refer to him here on out as my guy, because as I learned years later, he had fallen in love with me 2 weeks prior to my impromptu dance show. I'm already in love with you yet, and you don't even know it. Yeah. How was this possible if I'd never met him? It turns out 2 weeks earlier, he had definitely noticed me when I stopped for coffee. He wanted to get to know me more. He made more frequent stops at the shop, hoping to meet me. My mini dance was the beginning of me bumping into him at the coffee shop all the time. We began sitting together, me sipping on strong coffee, him on Earl Grey. One of my favorites, Jean-Luc Picard quotes, tea, Earl Grey, hot. It seemed he spent even more time there than I did, which was a lot. Yet I'd never noticed. We knew a lot of the same people, and our conversation always was interesting, easy, and witty. Within less than a month, he began helping me with simple errands, offering to fix my computer and even helping me move, which was thoughtful for someone who didn't know me well. But I kept in mind that I was still on the slow side, unaware that he was attracted to me. Then a shift happened. I noticed the chemistry was evolving that I couldn't explain. It was warm, curious, strong, and exciting. Years later, I still have a vivid memory of getting ready to see him one beautiful summer evening about a month after we had met. It was the first time I was doing so with butterflies in my stomach, in an attempt to look sexy in an unobvious way. I had chosen a beige button up, knee length skirt, bright white t shirt, and sandals with a bit of bling. Walking casually down the sidewalk, I remember feeling as though I couldn't get there soon enough. It surprised me that I felt that way. We were meeting up at his place of work. He was the sound guy at my favorite bar, again, making it hard to believe that we had met before my Shimmy and Shake performance. And I felt nervous walking through the doors. Now, I was the one falling in love, and each weekend, without fail, resulted in me dressing up to the nines so I could dance all night with friends, knowing he was watching nearby. I start getting ready at 10 p.m., close the bar at 4 a.m., making it easy for him to drive me home. And so our friendship glided into something more, which was filled with both beautiful and regretful moments. I was devastated to learn he was already in a long-term relationship. It was a situation that hurt him as much as it hurt me. You know, being ethically non-monogamous myself and preferring to have polyamory, which literally translates to many loves. Just because someone is already in a relationship, if they're in an ethically open relationship, is the caveat, then it's not necessarily a detriment if they're already partnered. If you're in a monogamous or expected to be monogamous, then that is an issue. If you want to date other people, that's okay. Negotiate with your current partner first. And you never know. There are, not could, there are people out there that actually are okay with that. In one of my early delving into learning about relationships, one of the books that I first read, Double Your Dating by David D'Angelo, there is a statement in there that there are women out there that you could approach to date and say, I want to date you, I want to be sexual with you, and I don't want to be exclusive. And they'd be okay with that. It's possible. I've been with non-monogamous women before, and it can be wonderful if that's an authentic part of your self-expression, like it is for mine. Back to this story. We hadn't said the words I love you to one another, but it was obvious all the time. Humans aren't built to walk away from what they want. We were drawn together like the strongest of magnets in a way that was almost scary. He was who I wanted to spend my days with. The entire situation was heartbreaking. Scientists are right. Our brains register the emotional pain of heartbreak the same way as physical pain. I lacked my usual energy, I would cry on a whim, and I felt like I could see an actual crack in my chest. Who we desire is driven by powerful forces we can't control and as such, we weren't perfect at following these socially expected boundaries. It was impossible to imagine him not being in my life, but we did finally reach the point where we were able to completely avoid one another, with the exception of occasionally working together as we were in the same industry. That's really tragic. There are ways to go and negotiate and to be able to have what your heart wants. One of the main premises that I teach with enlightened consent is the idea that as long as you and the people are involved are consenting and you're honoring your current relationship agreements, like if you're already partnered, then it doesn't matter what anyone else outside that thinks or feels about what you're doing. Keep to your relationship agreements. And if you find you want something in addition to that your relationship structure doesn't currently allow for, talk to your partner about it. Say, hey, I'm noticing I'm wanting this, and negotiate. You could actually get a yes. You don't have to go through this kind of heartbreak. We had gifted one another with the experience of true connection, and there was no going back. And that meant any other man I invited into my life didn't stand a chance. If you're pining for someone and wanting to go and be with them and just trying to date other people in the meanwhile until they became available, just having those placeholders, it's not fulfilling to you, and it's not fair to the other person. It's not. And I can speak from this experience where my ex-wife went and left me for a guy that she had said some vows on a beach to 20 years before I ever met her. I was a placeholder, and she left me for him once he decided that he was going to be available for her. Ouch. Didn't have to go that way. Oh. Continuing on with Tara's story. That's why the shoe story happened. That's why I thought moving away from the East Coast all the way across the country to be near my brother would make things easier. That's why, after binge drinking shoe guy, I attracted yet another unstable alcoholic into my life. Then, for a grand finale, just 2 months after meeting online, I moved in with a man and his 2 kids to start both a relationship and a company together. That can get tricky, mixing business and pleasure. Possible, complicated, and hey, it's something that I think is still definitely workable. It takes effort. Things were going so well that I thought he was the one I'd marry, until I woke up to an email one day while he was out of town on business that unveiled the disturbing truth of who he really was. There wasn't an ounce of validity to who he claimed to be, and to give you a snapshot of how shocked I was, hiring a private investigator was up for serious consideration. That would have been expensive. Pointless exercise, though, because even the most amateur sleuth could see he was a thief, a fraud, and so conniving. By the time he flew home, my bags were packed with my parents' couch calling my name. We'd had countless screaming matches over the phone that were my introduction to the sneaky emotional abuse of gaslighting, my insecurities, and the interesting experience of watching a narcissist desperately trying to cover his tracks. Sorry, kind of sucks. Oh. Consequently, he destroyed our brilliant business, left our dedicated staff unemployed, investors drained, lawyers well paid, and his children confused, not to mention what my family endured physically and mentally. As for me, I started working with a relationship coach who little by little was piecing it back together. That is a great move, especially after going through something that is kind of traumatic like that. Having a coach to help you get to closure and to move forward is very beneficial. And that's one of the things I've helped some of my clients do, is to be able to move forward so they can go and create what they do want in their life next. Yet still, despite me walking away from the company and enlisting the help of a coach, I let him remain in my life. Why? He pushed so many buttons I didn't know that I had, that I turned into a person I didn't like. He succeeded in making me wonder if I should have believed in him more. He made me feel guilty that his children were left without my parents, whom they had come to love. My health rapidly declined, and my common sense was evaporating to the point that one friend threatened to kidnap me until she talked sense into me, and another wondering if my ex was drugging me. It took 5 months to escape his web. Looking back, it resembles a darn good Oscar-winning performance that left him with a short end of the stick and me ready to play big. Yeah. In dealing with narcissistic people in a relationship that often want to always blame the other person, make them wrong instead of taking responsibility, guilt tripping into manipulation to go and get what they want. Yeah, all these are red flags. Now back to that relationship coach I mentioned. I had no hesitation in committing to several sessions with the coach once a week in her home office, sitting in a comfy chair and sipping tea as we talked. Our sessions always ended with us gently clasping our hands while repeating phrases she felt my heart needed to hear. Statements such as, I have the right to unapologetically ask for what I want, and I have permission to forgive myself, and his behavior is not my fault. I needed to hear those a lot, as allowing this man to make me second guess every good decision I make. My coach and I would reflect on my emotional heritage and how to work it in my favor so I could rid myself of self-doubt and ready myself for a healthy relationship. And this goes back to one of the premises that I go and teach about. Being in a healthy relationship with yourself, first and foremost. Being able to know what your truth is. I can go and speak from my truth and stand in that, even if another person doesn't believe or agree in it. And I don't have to make them wrong if they don't believe in what my truth is. I can still act and be congruent to my authentic self. And that's part of having a healthy relationship, is being in congruence with your own truth. I always went to my sessions alone. However, one day my ex banged his way into her office so quickly and without warning that I doubt anyone could have stopped him. He was aware I was enjoying my sessions with her, and he knew that meant he was losing his grip on me. That afternoon, instead of spending the day trying to hold the company together, he drove clear across the city to display behavior that resembled a 40-year-old grown man stomping his feet like a child because he couldn't get his way and didn't understand why. Once again, big red flag if a person in your life is doing this. Knowing she was successfully lifting me up when all he wanted to do was push me down triggered so much anger in him that he paced, vibrated, and yelled about how I had no right to make him look like the bad guy. It felt as though even my coach had never witnessed such a performance. I'll never forget her calling out to her husband, a coach himself, that he needed to cancel her next appointment because she was afraid to leave us alone together. Good therapist. Good coach. Good coach. Meanwhile, the main investor in our company, being kept awake at night by the epic business disaster that was unfolding at the same time, offered to fly me anywhere I wanted for a well-deserved break as the relationship ended. That's a generous investor. I could take his travel points and disappear. When my ex got wind of our meeting about it, he executed yet another fantastical banging into a room performance, yelling at both me and the investor about how unfair it was. However, since I understood the wreck of my love life and our business wasn't my fault, I was able to dismiss and even laugh at his attempt to shake me. 2 days later, without realizing how much those flight points would change my life, I flew to my happy place, St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. I want to get away. I want to fly away. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tell when I'm in a fairly good mood because I break out into some random song like that. Yay. My best girlfriends met me at the airport with great fanfare, flashy pom-poms and all, and I was whisked around to a few pubs where old friends awaited me. We crashed a birthday party at one and found a good friend bartending in another. And then I unexpectedly spied my guy's car. I knew what pub he would be in, and I froze, not sure if I should text him and say I was nearby. My girlfriend, knowing how I felt about him, pulled over to the side of the road while I debated what to do. Considerate friend. So I texted him. He said to come and join him, and a rush of excitement flooded over me. My friend and I walked down to the very familiar stairs to the pub, and upon opening the door, saw him right away. I immediately felt as though I had come home. I hadn't intended to find him. In fact, I didn't expect to see him at all, as we had given up on the idea of being together years ago, like star-crossed lovers. But when I opened the pub door, we were magnets once again. He pulled me into his arms, both of us grateful to feel one another. My recent ended relationship drama was non-existent at that moment, and our conversation quickly led to the fact that we are both single. He'd finally left the woman that he had been with. I didn't fully comprehend what that could mean for us until the next day. I was sitting on my friend's couch doing work online, and it just hit me like the most obvious thing. I could work from anywhere, so why couldn't I move back here, back to this town, and give this long-lost relationship a real chance? Yay! The next evening, my guy and I had a long overdue date at our favorite pizza joint. We caught up over the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we had each experienced that we had each experienced since last seeing one another. And ironically, my ex called me in the middle of dinner. Not a surprise. He couldn't handle knowing I was having fun without him, but I simply ignored him. Good choice. You don't have to answer the phone when they call. You can ignore it. He wasn't going to be granted the power to ruin the high I was experiencing with my guy. We fell right back into the past as if nothing had changed between us except the fact that we were both free to finally explore our full emotions. All that wasn't working before was percolating into perfection, and we spent the night together. Curl up in bed. Just before falling asleep, he laid his head on my chest and gently asked what kind of relationship I wanted. His question, so carefully and delicately poised, was unexpected. He's not one to express his emotions as easily as I do. A woman thing, I guess. Not necessarily. Stereotypical. Yeah. His question reverberated through me. I immediately recognized that how this conversation went could determine whether or not I would be moving back to give our relationship a proper chance. I asked him why he wanted to know, and he replied without looking at me, because I love you, and I know we should be together. Aww. And those words were my ignite moment. They were what I always wanted to hear, and combined with the time that I'd taken to better myself, made the stars and moon align. Finally, I found my real life, my rocking, explosive, and amazing love life. And it was only just beginning. We spent the next 3 weeks of my vacation together, and that time with my guy was glorious. I was in constant awe, and still am, that my love life had come full circle within hours of stepping off the plane. It made the nonsense in my previous relationships seem trivial. When my vacation came to a close, I flew back across the country, made my last appointment with my relationship coach, and now it was me bursting through her door. But it was with complete joy versus the tears she'd grown used to. With her gentle prodding, I reported that I was proof that the moment that we get out of our own way, everything can really fall into place. Uh-huh. Joyfully, I packed everything up and said goodbye to my West Coast family and friends. They were baffled at my abrupt departure in the name of love. After all, they hadn't heard of my guy before then. I would have been rather pointless for them to go and hear of and meet the love of my life since he wasn't available, right? And yet, here I was, coming back from vacation and telling them that I was moving back to Newfoundland. The flight back to Newfoundland 3 weeks earlier changed my life. Once I returned, my guy and I had no idea where we lived together, so we moved into the Delta Hotel for nearly a month. It's workable. The idea of living separately, like most couples do prior to moving in together, wasn't an option. It was all or nothing. We had no idea if one of us had idiosyncrasies, such as hogging the covers, leaving socks on the floor, never replacing the toilet paper roll, and it didn't matter. Past relationships taught us each what did matter, that it didn't include making each other feel wrong and suppressed. Most people don't believe this, but not once have we raised our voices to one another. We bring our issues up when they happen, and because of that, typically there isn't a problem that can't be discussed and understood within moments. Communication, it's an amazing thing. You can talk things out. You don't have to get angry and upset about it. It means that we can spend our days, which had already been cut short until now, enjoying one another versus wasting our energy on pushing our feelings down. Even strangers have pointed out how happy we look, and our single friends often comment on how much they love our love story. As silly as it may sound, it feels like a fairy tale come true. I am living a rocking, explosive, and amazing love life with my guy, and now that I have it, I can't imagine why I would accept anything less. Like Cinderella, I have gone from losing my shoes to finding my prince. I've made my own transformation from looking for love to feeling love deep within. The actual outcome of what it takes to find our dream relationship is never 100% of what we envision. However, there is a simplicity to living your best love life once you're with the right person or the right people if you're polyamorous, ethnically non-monogamous. We each can make peace with our past, respect the power of timing, and act as if we're already living the best love life possible. fairy tale relationships do exist beyond Disney movies. Yay! After all, I'm living proof that fairy tales do come true. Now, the Ignite action steps. When you love a person, all fear disappears, and when you are afraid, all love disappears. Osho. Decide what a rocking, explosive, and amazing love life looks like for you. That's a great one. Just being able to say what it is that you actually want to have in your love life and being able to articulate that is a huge thing. Something that I desire in my love life is an open triad where I have one partner who is my wife and I have another partner who is my collared submissive. And we have biological children together and raising them together in an open triad. So we're able to see other people if and when we want. And that's part of my rocking, explosive, and amazing love life that I'm committed to creating and attracting. Never stop unapologetically asking for what you want. It's okay for you to want what your heart wants, and you are deserving and worthy of experiencing what your heart wants. Act as if you're already living your best love life. What would that be like? Understand and believe in the power of timing. That can be challenging sometimes. Invest in yourself, whether it be through coaching, reading, self-help books, etc. Being able to actually invest in yourself is one of the most important things, because it's ultimately your relationship with you that makes a space available for other people to go and come in. Even for Tara, it took her working with a relationship coach and going and doing that internal work helped bring about the circumstances of her being ready in the right timing for her guide to be able to come into her life. If you feel trapped in an unhealthy relationship, know that you aren't alone and there's no shame in asking for help. It's okay to ask for help. Everybody needs help on occasion. There's nothing weak or bad about asking for help. It actually takes a lot of strength to say, I need help with something. If you suspect a friend or family member needs help with their unhealthy relationship, check in on them, even if it feels awkward. They may feel too ashamed to ask for help or not even realize that they need it. It's very true. So it's okay to ask people, do you need help? And don't try to force it on them. Just being able to say, hey, if you need help, I'm here for you. And trust that they will ultimately do what they feel is right for you, for themselves. And you get to do what is right for you. So that is the end of the 4th chapter. Thank you for joining me once again for going through Ignite Love. We shall continue on and let me know what came up for you during this story. And we'll see each other again soon. You're loved. All is well. And bye for now.